and welcome to our HDSB Pathway Planning live stream series. Tonight, we're very excited to welcome Ontario Colleges here as our third guest in the series. We've had a great series so far with some fantastic presenters sharing information that's really crucial to supporting your students or if you are an HDSB student, pathway planning. My name is Lisa Galley, and I'm a secondary instructional program leader with the School Programs Department, and I support guidance, co-op, and student success, as well as our regional programs. And again, tonight, really glad to be able to be here to impart some knowledge, share some information, and help our students and families in the board feel informed and aware of the wide range of post-secondary pathway options that exist for them. So we really hope that you enjoy tonight's live stream. As we always do in the Halton District School Board, I'm going to begin with our land acknowledgement. We begin by acknowledging the land and our responsibility to care for and respect all that provides us with life. This land upon which HDSB is situated is on the ancestral, treaty, and tidal lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Michizaw-Geek Nation, now known as the Mississaugas of the Credit. Michizaw-Geek territory in the past and present continues to host both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. The HDSB is committed to continuous knowledge building with respect to actions that address and resolve the ongoing impacts of colonialism. We do this by learning and understanding the true history, treaty obligations, duties and responsibilities, and Indigenous rights, while actively maintaining mutually beneficial relationships and collectively respecting and caring for the land. And for the connection that I wanted to make this evening, I wanted to really highlight the range of Indigenous programs and supports available at Ontario Colleges and beyond. Ontario's publicly funded colleges offer over 50 programs focused on Indigenous knowledge, culture, history, and brilliance. All students are eligible to apply to these programs. Ontario Colleges also houses an FAQ page for Indigenous applicants, which provides some answers to commonly asked questions. The provincial government also provides a range of supports for Indigenous student applicants, including scholarships, bursaries, and post-secondary exploration support. I also wanted to highlight an organization that also supports Indigenous student applicants, and that's Inspire. It's an Indigenous national charity that invests in the education of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people for the long-term benefit of these individuals, their families and communities, and Canada. Inspire disperses financial awards, delivers programs, and shares resources with the goal of increasing graduation rates for Indigenous students. So I wanted to remind everyone that, again, as we recenter on our time tonight with Ontario Colleges, that you are able, through our live stream platform, to ask questions. And you'll see both a QR code there that you can scan with your phone that will take you to the question form, or you can go to the link at bit.ly/collegesquestions, and that will take you right to the Google form. I'm on the other end of that form, and I'll be able to pitch those questions over to our team from Ontario Colleges this evening. So I also want to remind you that you are able to turn on closed captioning, which is provided in English, if helpful to you tonight during the live stream. You'll be able to access the recording of tonight's live stream using the same link that you're accessing it tonight on our transition to post-secondary page on hdsb.ca. And when you're viewing the recording, translation in other languages through closed captioning is available if that is a helpful support. So when it comes to education and career life planning, we know that this really does take place through a student's educational career. Through the experiences they have, the courses they take, the extracurriculars they pursue, and the volunteer opportunities they try, as well as other important life events, students really begin to form an understanding of who they are and what they want for their future. Specifically, students answer the 4 questions of education and career life planning. Who am I? What are my opportunities? Who do I want to become? And what is my plan for achieving my goals? Every school in the HDSB provides targeted opportunities for students to be able to answer these questions and begin to plan for their first post-secondary destination. So how do students go about actually answering these 4 questions? Well, again, I mentioned some of this already, but you'll see the diverse range of courses, extracurricular opportunities, specialized programs, community involvement opportunities, as well as the range of educators in the building, as we again talk to our secondary families tonight, that are able to support students in developing that individual pathways plan over the course of their high school career. So lots of opportunity to really explore who they are and what they want for their future. Now, what is an individual pathways plan? Well, the IPP serves as a record of student learning, and it really does document the student's pathway exploration journey from grades 7 to 12. In grades 7 and 8, the process really focuses on making a successful transition to high school, whereas in grade 9 to 12, the IPP process is really looking at exploring options and preparing for the student's initial post-secondary destination. And that seems like the perfect time to introduce our special guest tonight, and that is the team from ontariocolleges.ca. What is Ontario Colleges? Well, it really is the go-to information source for all things related to exploring college opportunities in Ontario. That includes college and campus information, individual programs that are available, supports for students, financial aid, and so on. It's actually also the website that students use to actually apply to college programs in Ontario. And it's funded by OCAS, which is a not-for-profit organization that helps learners explore and connect with all of Ontario colleges. And I will tell you that today's colleges, which I'm sure you'll hear about tonight, are very different than the colleges that some of us 20 or more years ago may have known as we were on our own post-secondary journey. So I look forward to you hearing all about everything that they have to offer. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Chris Accardi and Aaron Farley, who are here from the ontariocolleges.ca team to share in tonight's presentation with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm going to start presenting my screen now. Here we go. All right. So yeah, thank you very much. And thank you everyone listening. I'm very excited for this opportunity to present on ontariocolleges.ca. So hello, I'm Chris. I'm a passionate individual about education. And I'm very excited about all the subtle changes that colleges have made over the years to improve the education that they provide to students. So my goal as an individual in my role here is simply to help students make informed decisions about their education. So I'm also from ontariocolleges.ca, as Lisa mentioned. We're a not-for-profit organization that's created by the colleges for the colleges. And our website is the only way to apply for any full-time programs at Ontario's public colleges. And tonight, I'm here to talk to you about our awesome website, some programs, pathways, and everything else that college has to offer. I'm going to address it right up front. I'm also sick, so I apologize in advance if I have to mute myself and stop sharing my screen for a second. It'll only be for a few seconds, and I will be right back, I promise. Okay, so let's carry on here. A couple of things that I want to talk about. I'm going to start off with a very brief overview of ontariocolleges.ca. But I do want to encourage everyone to explore it on their own. So I'm going to give some high-level features and kind of let everyone explore it on their own time as well. I'm going to go into some program types and the variety of programs that colleges offer, the advantages of college, key dates, and a little bit on how to apply. And then we're going to finish it off with some questions. So I'm going to answer, me and Aaron Farley are going to answer questions at the end of the presentation. So if anything comes to mind during the presentation, please submit the questions and we'll get to them. All right, so like I said, I'm going to start off with just a very brief overview of Ontario Colleges. ontariocolleges.ca, and some of the resources and features that are found on the website. So the very basics here. This is the homepage of our website, ontariocolleges.ca. It's the gateway to every single full-time program at Ontario Colleges. There's a few things that I want to point out here. If you kind of look really closely at the top, there's the tabs: Applying, Colleges, Programs, and FAQ. Under Applying, you're going to find a bunch of resources, things like important dates, steps on how to apply, things like transcripts, information on transcripts or skilled trades. There's a lot of information in there. And then for colleges and programs, I'm actually going to dive into a little bit deeper. And then whenever you're ready to apply, you see that button right in the middle there, Apply Now. So we'll get into that a little bit later as well. So if you click the colleges button, you'll see a list of, you'll find our Choose a College page. And this in this section, you can learn about every single college from a neutral perspective. So each college has a profile that you can see here on our website. They're constantly updated, and the purpose is to tell you about their unique characteristics, how they're different from each other, and any information on those web pages are verified by our team. So on each page, you can expect some college highlights, some stats, and some colleges even choose to highlight some featured programs on their college pages. But if they don't mention a specific program that you're interested in, we have the Find a Program page on our website. This is hands down my favorite feature of the website. We house every single program that's available at every single college, all in one location. You can search for programs, filter by start date, credential, program length, delivery type, anything you want. Or as you can see here on the screen, you can explore by categories, making it easy for you to explore all the programs under a specific topic. I do want to encourage everyone to go to ontariocolleges.ca and explore it on your own time. There's a lot of good information there. It doesn't really work well for me to tell you about it. You kind of have to explore it on your own. So I'm going to kind of just leave it there for now. But if anyone has any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer later on about the website. So the next thing I want to talk about are the program types. So there's something for everyone. Seriously, I truly do mean that. There is something for everyone. All these images here on the screen are actual images from Ontario College programs. So I'm going to just name a few of them here. We have high voltage power tech, film, aviation, culinary, hydroponics, nursing, firefighting, acoustic engineering, massage therapy, robotics, and welding. And there's way, way, way more. This is literally just scratching the surface. But these college programs are often closely tied to today's fastest growing industries. And you can't talk about fast growing industries without at least mentioning trades programs. So I'm going to just take one slide here to talk about trades. So as you can see here, by 2030, there's going to be 700,000 vacant trades jobs across Canada. I'm going to remind everyone that it's 2025. That is just 5 years away. We received one question earlier that was submitted that was talking about a high earning potential. Just a personal recommendation. If you're looking for like high earning potential, I'd recommend going into the trades because of this demand. Start your own business. And there's actually trades programs with embedded business courses that'll actually help with the purpose of starting your own company. So a couple of other things that to talk about the benefits of a college pathway into the trades. You get the hands-on experience in the classroom before working on site. So if you look on that top left picture, you'll see a bunch of wood in the background. Those are like the frames of a room that's an individual student would learn how to electrically, like wire the electricals from a light switch to a light bulb in a very safe environment. If you look at the photo below that with the red images, That's a welding. That's a welding setup. Welding can be very dangerous. So one thing that I learned is that in order to like promote safety, a lot of these trades programs will have like full-on VR equipment where you can practice welding in a virtual simulation with controllers instead of torches that could burn your hands. All before, like, so you build confidence before you actually pick up the real tools that you'll be using. The other benefit here is one of, I don't know if anyone here is interested in the trades, but one of the hardest things about going into the trades is finding a sponsor and becoming an apprentice. So because of the college's industry partnerships, they can often help individuals find someone willing to sponsor them. And from the sponsor's perspective, they're hiring people that they know have the training, and they're hiring from a reputable college as well. So a lot of benefits there. Anyway, that's it for the trades for now. I'm happy to answer more questions later on them, but I want to continue talking about program types. So there, as I mentioned in the two previous slides, there's a lot of different areas of study, but I also want to talk about the different credentials that colleges offer as well. So there's three types here. There's certificates, diplomas, and degrees. And yes, I didn't know this before I took this job. Colleges have degrees too. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about each of these, starting with certificates. So there's two types of certificate programs. There's regular and graduate. Both are really quick one-year programs that help you get the essential skills you need to enter the workforce. With a graduate certificate, they're for individuals who have already earned a credential, a certificate, diploma, or a degree, and they're typically used to help like really specialize in an area of study. So moving on, diploma programs. So once again, there's two types of diploma options. Both are going to be great resume builders, especially if you select a program with an embedded co-op. A lot of them do have them, but not all programs have co-op embedded in them. And they position you as being industry ready. So you get that kind of hands-on experience in the classroom. The difference between the 2-year diploma and a 3-year advanced diploma is that the second one is 3 years. So you have one more year to kind of focus in on your area of study. 3-year programs, almost all of them have co-ops embedded in them as well. So next, degree program type. So there's 3 different types of degrees here that colleges offer. Each of them offers the benefits of college, such as a smaller class size, more practical hands-on learning, but you also get to learn that theory behind the subjects as well. So a typical 3-year degree gives you that really deep, rich understanding of your subject. A 4-year or honors degree allows you to apply for post-grad programs, such as masters, PhDs, stuff like that. And then this last one here is something that I'm very passionate about. I want to, they're called collaborative degrees, or sometimes they're called 2+2 degrees. I just want to tell everyone I meet about these. I don't think enough people know about them. So the way it works is that you typically spend 2 years at college and then 2 or 3 years at a partnered university, and you often earn both a diploma and a degree. So you get double the credentials in usually around the same time period. The added benefit, though, because there's more, the added benefit is that the portion that you study at college, you pay college prices for those first 2 years while you earn the diploma. So that makes these 2+2 programs less expensive than a typical degree and give you twice the credentials. That is just a phenomenal opportunity for everyone. So I highly encourage people, if you're just learning about it right now, to explore that option. There is a filter on our programs page to filter for collaborative degree programs. All right, that was a decent amount of information. I'm going to pause here in case anyone's submitting a question. There's already been a lot of info, but the next section here, I'm going to talk about just 5. I probably could have come up with 25, but 5 advantages of colleges that are typically a little bit less known. So again, just giving a moment for anyone to submit a question if they want to. All right. So number one is all about learning. So many colleges take the 4 ACEs teaching strategy, which include outcomes, clarity, engagement, and enthusiasm. I'm not going to read through each one of these. But basically what it means is that college aims to meet learners where they are, and they cater to multiple learning styles. So for example, an instructor will set expectations ahead of time, lay out the information in an easily digestible manner, reinforce that learning with hands-on activities or collaborative work, and above everything else, they're enthusiastic about their teaching. So if instructors aren't passionate about what they're teaching, the students aren't going to be either. So that's why the second advantage I'm going to talk about is faculty. So faculty, instructors, and teachers are a huge part of the college experience. As many of you may know, it's often the teachers who make a class so enjoyable, not necessarily the subject area. So I want to highlight a couple of teachers at Ontario's colleges. It would be impossible for me to go through everyone that has received an award, but these are just randomly 3 that I picked. And I think that they do a very good job of showcasing what it means to be an instructor at a college. So the first individual here is Cami. She's a law instructor at Seneca Polytechnic, and she won the Future Proofing Ontario Students Award, which is given to faculty who lead the way in adapting programming that supports new and innovative ways of learning. The next individual here is Mark from College Boreal, who won the Minister's Award of Excellence for his contribution to reforestry and Indigenous relations. I have a quote here from one of his students that I'm going to read because I read it and I just found it so impactful and I want to spread it. So the quote goes, "Given his wealth of knowledge and infectious passion for forestry, studying with my teacher Mark is a particularly motivating and rewarding experience. Whether in the classroom or out in the field, his exemplary availability and tireless commitment to finding the best ways to teach us are undeniable assets that contribute to our academic success." I was just blown away at that. Like, what an amazing note from a student talking about their teacher. The next one here is Jeffrey, who is a nursing professor from Niagara College, who won the Educator of the Year award. And that award recognizes a positive impact that an individual has had on the lives of their students, colleagues, and the community. Now, this quote, I've got another quote here, is from Jeffrey himself. And I think it does a very good job of explaining how passionate these instructors can be about their topic of study. And so I find the most rewarding aspect of being an instructor or being an educator is the opportunity to make a positive impact on the lives of my students, watching them grow and develop into confident, self-assured individuals who are passionate about learning and equipped to make a difference in the world. So again, just 3 random or teachers that have won awards. I think they do a very good job of showing what it's all about to be an instructor at a college. All right, I'm going to pause for a drink here. This is another piece that I learned about recently. I was actually talking to a college rep back in November who said that student success services are some of the best kept secrets about college. And I thought that is such a positive and negative thing. There's all these values in these programs that are out there to help students succeed, and people don't know about them. So my goal here is to kind of let that secret out. So student success support are areas of colleges that do everything that they can to help students thrive. So just some examples here. They support transition into first year at your college. They are going through the list, counseling services, mental and physical health, Indigenous education and support, accessible learning, that includes learning, like accessible learning for learning disabilities and physical disability individuals, peer tutoring groups or academic support, and career services. So one thing that I learned is that a lot of these colleges care so much about the students and so much about the graduates that they give lifetime access to these career services. So if an individual maybe graduated 5-10 years ago, and maybe they're going to apply for a new job or a promotion or something like that, they can go back to their college's career services and do interview prep with them, or get them to review a resume or sit in on some workshops. They have lifetime access to those supports. It's another way that colleges just go above and beyond. And I really want to take a moment here to shout out the amazing teams that run these services. They've looked at every obstacle that a student could possibly face on their educational journey, and they set up these supports because they truly want those individuals and those students to succeed. So this is a huge, huge value of a college education. So moving on here to number 4, are pathway options. So I know the previous session was about ONTransfer, and I'm going to highlight them here as well. There are over 800,000 transfer opportunities and pathway opportunities for students to transfer from. So that means that if they want to transfer into a different program, they can receive credits from the classes that they've already taken. So maybe an individual wants to transfer from a certificate to a diploma program at the same school, or a diploma to a degree, or maybe they're moving across the province, so they need to change schools because of the physical location. Colleges make all of this possible. And even if you want to change subject areas, like that's also a possibility here. So there's a lot of value in kind of taking a program and then being able to be so adaptive and move within different programs as well. So now the next one here, number 5. This one is definitely for the parents on watching the live stream here. So I want to encourage everyone to look into scholarships. So a website that I love is scholarshipscanada.com, because you can filter things out very easily. There are over $26 million in scholarships available every academic year. And I, just like college, there are college programs for everyone. There are scholarships for everyone too. They're not just academic scholarships. There could be things for community involvement, or passion about a subject area, or it could be just a scholarship for a specific school, or anything along those lines. There are truly scholarships for everyone. I just want to say, like, please look into these. It is literally free money. Not many people apply to them, so much money gets left on the table. And I'm going to give a personal story here. So when I applied, I applied to exactly one scholarship before I went to school. It took me about an hour to research it and to apply for it. And I was awarded $1,000 every semester. I went to school for 5 years. So my 1 hour of effort resulted in $10,000 for me. It is wild how much money is out there for individuals who are just willing to put a little bit of effort in to find them. And then beyond scholarships, I also want to let everyone know that the Ontario government subsidizes college education, because so many college programs are closely tied to industries that affect the economy. So an Ontario student will pay about a quarter of the price that it costs to run a program. So for example, I just picked a random program, a business program. It would cost typically about $33,000 without the subsidy, but with the subsidy, you only pay about $8,000. That's 75% off. So all these opportunities, the scholarships, the bursaries, the grants, plus the subsidies, mean that you're going to graduate with less student debt. That sets you up for success in your career beyond school. All right, I'm going to take another break there. Let some people absorb that information, take another drink, maybe ask some questions, submit some questions if you're interested. But next, as you can see here, I'm going to just briefly talk about some application, or some details about the application process. So here are a summary of important dates. So these dates in particular are for if you plan on starting school in the fall. So there are multiple intakes. You can start in September, January, or May. These dates here are particularly for starting school in September. So October 1st is when the application cycle opens. That's when the new programs get released for the following September. If you apply early, November 1st is the earliest date that you could receive an offer from the colleges. February 1st, we just passed that one, but February 1st is a very important date. That's what we call the equal consideration date. And what that means is that is the deadline to apply for programs that are considered competitive programs. So it's a very important time. You want to make sure that you apply before February 1st. May 1st is the deadline to confirm an offer. So if you receive an offer from a college, you want to confirm it by May 1st. But even though you confirm it, there's the possibility that you might lose your spot if you don't pay your tuition deposit. So by paying your tuition deposit in June means that you're securing your seat, your spot in that course. And all of this, once again, just to reinforce, all of these dates are for if you want to start class in September. So continuing on here. If you're ready to apply, you can click that giant Apply Now button on our homepage, or the Apply Login button as you can see in the top of the page here. When you click that button, this is the page you're going to be brought to. If you've never applied before, you want to click Apply Now. And if you have applied, you simply click the button below it, Login. So once you create an account, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to be asked to select up to 5 programs. 5 programs. Order any transcripts and pay the fee of $150. That $150 gets you up to 5 programs. If you just want to apply to 1 program, that fee is still $150. So you might as well apply to 5. You can apply to 3 programs at any one college. So you need to kind of spread out and apply to multiple colleges as well. If at any point you have any difficulties here applying, we've created some resources to help you along the process. So just really quickly, ontariocolleges.ca, there's a bunch of information under that applying tab. There's also the FAQ, which is the frequently asked questions, where you can search that section or you can just kind of find it naturally to see if others are encountering the same issues that you've encountered. We've created a help center, which I'm going to go into on the next slide a little bit more. And then if all else fails, we have our amazing contact center of real human individuals who are so knowledgeable and they can help you with your application. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the help center here. So this is a screenshot of what the help center looks like. It's a new tool that was launched last year because we wanted to make it as easy as possible for individuals to self-help, to find the information that they're looking for themselves. So in this area, you're going to find step-by-step instructions on how to deal with some common challenges that people encounter. It's extremely searchable, so I would definitely recommend that individuals just search on the top search bar there for the problem that they're encountering. And then mobile friendly, which I want to kind of call out specifically, because what we found is when someone is applying using a computer, they often don't want to open up another tab to try to figure out solutions to their problems. So we wanted to make this solution very mobile friendly, so you can pull it up on your phone while your application is open on your computer. And you can find this if you go to ontariocolleges.ca and scroll down to the very bottom of any page. You'll find a section in our footer called Need Help, where you can get a link to the Help Center, a Contact Us page, a phone number, email, and a live chat button. And like I said before, if all else fails, we have our awesome contact center team who can help via chat, phone, or email. And I'm going to give a shout out to Aaron, who is on the call tonight. to help answer any specific application questions. She's extremely knowledgeable. So if you have any of those, she'll be able to help out. All right. Now I've got 2 more slides before I open it up for questions. I'm going to do a little bit of a couple of plugs here for myself. So the first is the newsletter here. So our On to College newsletter. It started as a passion project of mine. It was the first thing I did when I took on this role. I wanted an easy way to share anything interesting that I've learned throughout, my role here with individuals. So the best way I could think of doing that was to use an email tool and get that out to people's inboxes. It's very low commitment. I do it once a month because we all hate spam and like pushy emails. It's not that at all. It is simply an informative tool that I just want to share what I learned with people. So if you're interested, you can find the newsletter sign up button at the top of any page on ontariocolleges.ca. Next here, another selfish plug. If anything at all about this presentation was interesting to you, please follow our Instagram account. I'm going to leave this up for a few seconds for people to scan. We release, reminders about important dates and innovative new programs. We try to highlight all of those types of things, the advantages, program types, everything that you kind of heard about in today's presentation. We go into a little bit more detail in our social media. So that's everything that I wanted to present today. I do know that there are some questions, so I'm going to basically invite everyone once again to submit any questions that they have. Even if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear if you've learned something new or if you found something particularly interesting. That any type of feedback like that really helps me.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris, for walking us through everything that Ontario colleges have to offer. I think, the piece that always resonates most with students and families is just the range of credentials that are available through Ontario's college system. Really, it's the post-secondary destination that offers every credential imaginable, which is certainly impressive. Everything from a certificate to a degree and everything in between. So thanks for highlighting that. I have no doubt there's lots of questions out there, and I know that we had a couple that came in before the live stream tonight that I'm going to pass it over to you to address, and then we'll go to some of our more recent questions.
Perfect. Thank you. And just to add to that, I believe a couple of colleges have even started submitting approvals for master's programs.
Yes.
So just literally the breadth of like 1-year certificates all the way to master's programs. So I'll say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. There's truly something for everyone at Ontario colleges. All right. So some individuals submitted questions early, and that allowed me to prepare for answers. So I've got a couple here. So the first question, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. There's an individual who their son built their own computer, grade 10, very impressive stuff. And the parent or guardian was wondering if they wanted to pursue a computer science program, what's offered within the college system. So I've got a QR code here that goes to the program search page on Ontario colleges. I searched for the term computer science, and I filtered for degree and collaborative degree because they mentioned that they might consider university. It yielded 111 results with 87 of them including co-op opportunities. So anyone can scan this QR code. You'll go to that page. You can change the search and the filters however you want. But I also want to highlight that those are just search results for computer science. So anything beyond that category, there's other, I've also found other programs that are kind of beyond the computer science category. So there's computer software, computer systems and engineering, robotics and automation, electronics, computer repair and maintenance, control systems, photonics, bioinformatics. There are so many different things, hundreds and hundreds of programs. So yes, to like briefly answer your question, there are tons of programs offered within the college system that have to do with computer science or computer engineering. What you'll find on this QR code here is just a fraction of them. So that's my first answer. And thank you for submitting early. We did get another question early, and this one was just a few minutes before I started the presentation, so I didn't get quite as much detail on it, but the question was, what specific options are available if a student wants to pursue a medical or pharmaceutical career? So I took a little bit of a different approach, trying to showcase the category searches. So this is a screenshot here of, if you go to our programs page and explore by category, you hit health, food, and medical, which are all grouped together. You'll get a list of all of these different program types. So this is a screenshot. There's pharmaceutical. The QR code will link to the pharmaceutical programs. But there are there's a whole bunch of options here, from nursing to respiratory, dental assistants, all that type of stuff that are considered medical fields. And I also want to highlight one thing here. Because this question was specifically about medical careers, I don't know how many people know about Michener College, but they specialize in medical and healthcare programs. That's all that they offer. They're a smaller school, but because they're so specialized, they're very respected in their field. Most colleges offer some medical programs. I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I recently learned that Michener specializes in them, and I thought that might be a piece of information that someone else might want to know about as well. So those are the two questions that I had. I don't know if you want me to pass it back over to you, Lisa, if you want to go through a couple of other ones.
That's great, Chris. Thank you. I know we also had a question about looking at earning potential tied to program. Yeah. And given the many college programs available, that would take us a long time to work through all of that. I'll just mention one piece that families may want to know about, Chris, and then feel free if you want to add to that, or Aaron. Sure. So to my understanding, ontariocolleges.ca does not list earning potential, though the links to the websites that are specific to the colleges sometimes offer some insight into that. Another place for students and families to find out about a particular career and what the range is actually Canada-wide, kind of going from an entry-level point to I've been in the field for a number of years, is myblueprint.ca. So in the occupation tool in My Blueprint, students can research any career of interest. I shouldn't say any, a lot. I'm hard pressed sometimes to find ones that aren't there. And in the profile of the career, it does give you a range that a student can expect, sort of as an average across Canada. Chris and Aaron, I'll pass it over to you if you want to say anything more about that.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate that by going to the college websites, I know the program pages, if there's, most of them have a careers section on those program pages, and some of them do have salary information. So some of them don't, but some of them do have the information there.
Yeah, and the thing is with those is it's, thank you for taking over. There are so many different variations, like where you're planning on working, that could affect pay scale, and things change very quickly. So how inflation kind of went through the roof a couple of years ago. That kind of quickly outdated anything that was on a website in terms of pay scale. So there's a lot of variables out there. I would encourage you to kind of use the two options that were just suggested by Lisa and Aaron.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I've put up the QR code as well as the link again for families that might be looking for that to submit a question, but we'll keep working our way through our list, and we're getting quite a few coming through. So one of the questions was, and I think I can answer this on behalf of the team, are universities like McMaster and University of Toronto also covered by Ontario colleges? They are not. So the Ontario University Application Centre is, or UAC or OUAC, depending on how you say it, is the sort of equivalent body that oversees university application processes. So families interested in that would be looking at ouac.on.ca if they're interested in learning more. We also have a question about OYAP and forestry related opportunities for grade 12. So in the Halton District School Board, we offer a broad range of OYAP and specialist high skills major programs. I should clarify that OYAP is the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. What we do not have is the forestry sector specifically represented. Some boards in Ontario absolutely do offer that. We unfortunately do not. But maybe Aaron and Chris, I'll pass it over to you in terms of a family that may be looking at forestry related programs. Again, they're going to find those at some of our Ontario colleges.
Yeah, and the I was going to point out the trade site that you can get to by going to ontariocolleges.ca. If you kind of just scroll down and visit the trade site, there is a section. If you go from that website, if you go to the apprentice and then college school to work transition on the OAP program, information there, and then you can also search for programs, trades related programs on that site. So that's a really good tool for people to use.
Yeah, and just in addition to that, I just quickly pulled up our program page and searched forestry. There's 115 programs. Some of those will be duplicates or things that have closed from a January 1st intake. But there are a lot of opportunities. Even if those are cut in half, you're still looking at over 50 different programs. So again, I really want to encourage people to use that Find a Program tool to discover everything that is out there.
Fantastic. Thank you. There's a question here about high school co-op. And that it doesn't count, asking, does it count toward eligible credits for average purposes when applying to colleges? Chris and Aaron, do you want to address this?
Yeah, I would think it probably depends on the college and the program. So I don't know if I have an exact answer for that. I would encourage them to check with the individual colleges that they're applying to see what they're considering for admission.
Yeah, I can say as a guidance counselor working with students who have taken co-op, most colleges would not be looking at co-op in an admissions average, and it wouldn't be a prerequisite for a program. But what, of course, co-op does do is provide you with real-world experience in a field that helps to solidify whether that area is what you actually want to study. So before you go and spend years of your life and thousands of dollars investing in a program, you've had a chance to kind of try it on for size and see if it's the right fit. So regardless of that, I mean, absolutely, co-op allows you to earn credits toward your Ontario Secondary School Diploma, and again, gives you that real world experience, which I think is so valuable. Great, thanks for that question. Now, a related question, someone has asked us, which colleges offer co-op programs? So how would someone know that?
There is a filter on the program page where you can actually search. I think it's under program. Let me just go here.
Program
I think it's
type.
under program type, and you can search for co-op programs. So, say if you wanted to search business programs, then you could filter down and search for co-op programs from there.
That's great. And we really always encourage, just like we do in high school, the value of co-op. It absolutely also transfers over to a college program that incorporates a co-op placement or an internship of some sort, allowing the student to make that connection between what they're learning in college and that actual job in the workforce is fantastic. Also as a networking tool that can often lead to employment after the program, lots and lots of benefits. So those programs are fantastic. Generally, Aaron and Chris, you can tell me if I'm wrong, they also tend to be a little more competitive. Is that true?
Sometimes I think they're a little bit more competitive to get in for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think anytime that you have that additional value and that benefit, more people are going to want to go for it, and that's what's going to make it more competitive.
Yeah.
Once again, trying to answer questions on the go here. I did a quick search on our programs page, filtered for co-op, and found that there are 888 programs offered by 20 different colleges. So almost every college offers at least one co-op program. And again, please use the program search tool. There's so much there. Those filters are so useful. But happy to answer questions here too.
Great. Thank you so much. That's a lot of choices. Perfect. So there's also a question about a student trying to find an apprenticeship and trying to figure out some ways that they might be able to do that. And I feel like that's a really nice lead in to some of the pre-apprenticeship programs that are offered by a variety of our colleges and what that can do for you. Erin or Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about the value of those programs?
Yeah, I can talk about them, but yeah, I think my first thought is those pre-apprenticeship programs, and even just there's a lot of other programs, just to get some experience, to meet people, to make those connections, with your teachers to help get connected to employers in the area that might be willing to do an apprenticeship with you. But I think the college pathway is a great avenue to build your skills, meet people, gain some experiences.
Definitely. I'm just going to build on that a little bit. I agree. I hear your struggle. Finding a sponsor to take you on as an apprentice is a very challenging thing, and it's one of the most challenging things about getting into the trades. That's a huge reason why these trades programs exist. And I'm going to go through a couple of reasons why. Typically, when an individual is looking for a sponsor, the sponsor is maybe worried that they need to spend a lot of time teaching the individual the basics, and they're going to slow them down, and that's going to cost them money and all that type of stuff. First of all, there are a lot of opportunities from government-funded programs that will give sponsors, a bursary for taking on apprenticeships to try to encourage that. But that's, again, going back to the college route into a trades program. You will learn what you need to learn before you go and take that approach to finding a sponsor, finding the apprentice, so that you're not going to slow them down. You're not going to, hold them back in any way, shape, or form. And Erin actually mentioned the college trades site as well, and I'm going to highlight that just very briefly. When an individual is going down an apprenticeship pathway, there are certain times that they need to get their work hours in, they need to hit a certain amount of number of hours on the job, and then they need to go back into a classroom setting to learn the next stage. It's called getting your stage 1 or your stage 2, that pull you out of the workforce and back into a classroom environment. Then you go back to work, and then you go back to class, and then you go, and so on and so forth. Every trade is a little bit different. But the valuable thing about those programs, specifically the programs on the college trades website, is that when you're in college, before you start your apprenticeship, you actually have those in-class teachings embedded into the curriculum. So that now makes you even more valuable for a sponsor, because you're not getting pulled out of work and have to go back into a classroom for a month or so at a time. There's a lot of value to the college route. Again, I don't want to push one direction over another, because if you do have someone who's willing to take you on as an apprentice, that might very well be your best route. Typically, it's if you have a family member or something like that. That's an awesome way to go. But then we do encounter these challenges of someone not being able to find a sponsor. And that's just really where the value of these programs shine.
Absolutely. And trades unions can also be a great support too for students that are looking at that. So there's so many entry points to the trade. So thanks for highlighting how Ontario colleges can support there too. All right, looking at where our questions are at, we have a couple questions about scholarships, which I know that Chris spoke to, and I'm just going to address them. There's a question about how many scholarships a student can apply for or earn, and I can tell you the sky is the limit. We have students every year that almost make it a part-time job to apply to every single scholarship or bursary that they feel that they are eligible for. And so you can literally accumulate tens of thousands of dollars successfully by applying to as many as you can. And I would encourage students to do that. Absolutely. Chris gave a great example of a scholarship where he earned $1,000. And I'm sorry to say this, Chris, but if Chris had applied to, 9 or 10 more, that could have been times
Totally.
a lot, right? It is worth the effort. And so many students say, I don't have the time, or I'm not going to bother, or I'll never win that. But again, many of them go unclaimed. So the sky is really the limit there. Someone asked about how do I look for a scholarship that would be right for me? So again, Chris had provided the scholarshipscanada.com website. There are many others like Wyconic as well. And we also have an HDSB scholarships website too. Families can find the link to that right on the Guide to Post-Secondary, which is on hdsb.ca. Any guidance counselor in any of our HDSB secondary schools would also be very familiar with that site. So thank you for those questions. We also had a question about a student having an IEP or an individual education plan and wanting to know a little bit about being assessed again for admission into a college. So they're wondering about, let's say sometimes students will have been assessed in elementary school or maybe early high school, and they're wondering about, what does that look like when you're applying? Do you have to be assessed again? So I can speak a little bit to this, but Chris or Aaron, is there anything you want to say up front about what that process looks like?
Yeah, I don't know too much about that, to be honest. I think that would be more on the college side. So I'm unless Chris, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately not. So Lisa, please, if you have an answer,
No problem. So generally, yes, it absolutely does vary by college. Students would not be expected to be reassessed or have another psychoeducational assessment before they apply, or even before they start their first day at the college. So typically what happens is that the student's IEP would come with them as a tool and a resource where they would work with accessibility services at the college to look at, what were the accommodations and strategies that were supportive there. And then a reassessment process would be initiated at the college. There are even assessment centers tied to the colleges that will help to do that. And typically the college will have a deadline by which they'll want that reassessment to happen. And certainly one of the messages that we always hear in high schools is that accommodations received in high school may not be identical to the accommodations received in college. So certainly there are supports for students that are geared to their specific exceptionality, but it doesn't mean it's going to look just like it did for the student in grade 9 to 12. So again, my advice always is as soon as a student receives an offer and says, yes, this is the one I'm accepting, the next step, if you have an IEP, is to reach out to the Accessibility Services Office, which can have slightly different names at different colleges, to find out what are going to be my next steps to get the process started as soon as possible. So I hope that helps to shed a little bit of light on that. I'll also say that the special education staff in the secondary schools will also be great resources in supporting students with that. So hopefully that helps. We also had a question here about how can we apply to colleges in Canada that are outside of Ontario? So I'll ask Ontario Colleges, is that something that Ontario Colleges supports?
No, we don't have any schools that are outside of Ontario. Be best. I know there's I know that there's I think it might be BC Planner or something like that. But yeah, it'd be best to reach out to those individual institutions to find out how you apply.
Yeah, absolutely. So our advice to students always is that all those out of province colleges are going to have their own timelines, their own processes, their own fees. And so really it requires the student and family to start doing their research early, being aware of those timelines, because they will not align perfectly, sometimes not at all, with the Ontario college system timelines. So doing your research early and getting your answers so that you're prepared is really, really helpful in that process. Great. Moving back to our questions, there was a question about, again, back to a student that may have a learning disability. Will an assessment for a learning disability conducted in India be valid in Canadian colleges? So I would say that would absolutely be a question specifically for the college. You could certainly ask during the application process or call to find out what their policy is. But I would say that's a very college specific decision. So that would be hard to answer kind of generically this evening, but I'd encourage you to contact the colleges. We also had a question about if a parent is on a work permit, but the student has completed studies from grade 9 to 12 from an Ontario school. Would the student be eligible for domestic fees, or would they be treated as an international student? So Erin and Chris, I don't know if that provides you with enough information to kind of know how the student would apply.
So what would these students, what would their status be? Would it, if I would say if the student is on a study permit, then they would have to apply through on the international application. If they're a PR status or whatever they are, then they would apply through the domestic. But I think it would depend on what the student's status in Canada is.
Absolutely. And if a family wanted to reach out to Ontario colleges for a little bit of direction around that, Erin,
definitely give us a call. Yeah.
Perfect.
We could take a look at the status.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. There was a question as well about, is there a list of high school courses that can be used as credit toward a college program? So I think what this viewer might be asking about, not so much as high school courses being used as prerequisite requirements for programs, but ones that actually count as credit. And certainly what's coming to mind are our dual credit courses and programs that are available. And we have quite a range of offerings in the Halton District School Board and a variety of models as well of dual credit, where students in any of our HDSB high schools can access programs that provide them not only with a high school credit, but also simultaneously a college credit. And that college credit can then be applied to many different programs at other colleges, or absolutely at the same college that might have been affiliated with the dual credit program. If families are interested in learning more about that, I would really encourage you to go to hdsb.ca and search for dual credit, and you'll be able to see the offerings that come up sort of each season of the school year. Chris and Erin, I don't know if you want to say anything more about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what my head was going towards, the dual credit. So I think that explained it.
Okay, great. And then the last question that I see here, I hope I haven't skipped any of them, is does the IB program help with applying for scholarships? So whether the student is going to college or university, often scholarships will have different questions that they're asking students about, reflecting on their experiences, talking about their leadership, talking about the courses that they've taken and their achievement. So a student in an international baccalaureate program can certainly speak to the range of courses and experiences that they've had in that program. So it absolutely can help to augment your chances as you're applying for a scholarship. There's no guarantee, but certainly it's a great unique program to be able to highlight in a scholarship application. So I hope that helps to address that. And I think we've come to the end of our questions. I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything. I think I have. So I really want to thank our viewers for submitting them. I'm mindful of our time right now, and just want to move on to a couple of key reminders for our viewers. I know that as we watch the live stream, you cannot click on these links, but just wanted to make sure you were aware of again, all the resources that you have at your fingertips. This past fall, we launched the HDSB Guide to Post-Secondary, which is a digital guide to all the post-secondary pathways, resources, financial aid information, everything that you'd want to know, which is, I hope, a really useful tool. We also have, as I've referenced a couple times, the Transition to Post-Secondary webpage, which is chock full of resources too. Our secondary school webpage links you to all of the secondary school websites. We've talked about My Blueprint tonight, as well as a pathway planning tool where you can also do post-secondary searches across Canada, as well as use the occupational tool, complete course selection, and so much more. And then I just want to remind you that guidance counselors are a valuable resource in all of our schools, but all the other educators listed on the slide as well are also pathway planners, and they are there to support your students as well as classroom teachers as they navigate all of these different options. So again, a wealth of resources for you to access. With that, I really want to thank Chris and Erin from ontariocolleges.ca. They did a great job of answering all the questions that came in and highlighting so many fantastic features of the website. So thank you so much to both of you.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Yeah, I had a blast. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And again, families know and students know where they can follow up if they have additional questions, but taking some time to explore ontariocolleges.ca will be a great way to familiarize yourself with everything that's there. We hope that you join us for our next session in March. Information will come out before the March break about that. We will be actually hosting Sheridan College, who will be specifically highlighting ways to fund your education. So another really useful session. We thank everybody for joining us tonight, and we wish you a fantastic evening, and we'll see you soon. Take care.